So let's talk about one of the most controversial cabinet members of the Trump administration, Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education. You know she's worth a pretty penny, more than $5 billion, according to Forbes. But her job is apparently also costing you a pretty penny. Not her salary. She gives that to charity. We're talking about how much taxpayers are paying for her security detail. It's about $20 million over about 30 months or so. That's because DeVos gets around-the-clock protection by U.S. Marshals. Nobody else in the cabinet gets that. Not the Secretary of State, not the Secretary of Defense, but the Secretary of Education. If that sounds unusual, it's because it is. But the government says it's necessary because of threats against DeVos. Again, somebody who has stepped into controversy from almost the very first day she started the job. With us now is the reporter who broke this story. NBC News national political reporter Heidi Price-Balad. Nancy and Yamiche are here with us as well. Heidi, great scoop.
Thank you.
Walk us through when, why, and how this started.
Right. Well, remember Scott Pruitt, the former EPA
We remember
director?
him well, and viewers of our Swamp Watch segment also remember him.
He resigned in part because of lavish spending on a number of things. One of those things was lavish security that the IG, the Inspector General, found not justified. That number was $3.5 million. We're talking way, way more than that. And what this is a really unprecedented security arrangement by the U.S. Marshals. These are people who protect Supreme Court justices. They run down drug dealers. These are not people who are usually protecting cabinet secretaries. We've been trying to get answers on why. What we do know is that this was granted 3 days after she was heckled. She went into, after taking office, a downtown urban D.C. middle school. She was heckled.
We have some video of that, by the way.
And then the security was granted. The thing about this, Hallie, is we still to this day cannot get a clear answer as to who ordered it and why, because she says she didn't ask for it. Jeff Sessions' office, he has his signatures on it, but it's unclear that they didn't much more beyond provide that signature.
You make a couple of important points here. Number one, DeVos says she did not personally ask for this protection. You talked with the Department of Education, who gave you a statement saying, we're obviously not at liberty to discuss the nature of the threats, but it should be obvious that they are significant. Otherwise, the trained professionals who made the call to escalate her detail would not have done so.
Right. And so I've talked with some of these trained professionals, including one former FBI assistant director who says there are cases where you have a temporary elevated threat level posed to a specific member of the cabinet or some official, and you'll provide this type of security. This is going on 19 months. We don't know what those threats are, why it's granted. It's possible that she is under some continued significant threat that no other member of the cabinet is. But we just don't have those answers, and it is curious that neither did the Department of Justice, and because when I first contacted them, they weren't even really aware of this, beyond Jeff Sessions just providing his signature.
Sort of signing off to be able to do this. Yamiche and Nancy, it's all coming, by the way, as we are learning more now about this overhaul on how colleges handle accusations of sexual assault inside the Department of Education, because as we often talk about on Swamp Watch, it's not just the people, it's the policies that they are putting in place. So we know what's going on with DeVos based on Heidi's reportings, and now there's this new piece of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's this idea that Betsy DeVos was not only controversial, but she was a high-profile person. There are people who will recognize Betsy DeVos's face in a way that they might not recognize other cabinet secretaries. So I think whoever made this decision in their mind was thinking, well, she got heckled at this school. And it wasn't just that she got heckled. There were people who got kind of in her way. They didn't touch her. They didn't tackle her, to be clear. But this is someone who was very, very controversial and has floated all sorts of things. Apart from this Title IX idea or this policy change, she's also talked about privatizing public schools. So there are people that are very worried about that.
Yamiche and Nancy, stick around. More after the break. Heidi, thank you for coming on and talking to us. You can find Heidi's story on NBCnews.com. I recommend it. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.